Of Ho Ho Hong Kong podcast. I'm your host Mohammed Magdi, and I'm sitting here with my buddy Vivek Mabobani.
Yay! So glad we have Mohammed who can say my name correctly. It's so refreshing.
I know, and not with a terrible Aussie accent.
Yeah, someone can understand this accent.
Where can people find you online?
You can simply go to look for @funnyvivek, sometimes with letter M, sometimes without. Just basically make sure you put the funny and the Vivek, and it'll be
Funny Vivek.
Yeah, funny Vivek.
Is that what like a meditation thing? Like
yeah, it gives you a moment to pause. Like funny Vivek is the funny one.
Nice. Okay. And I
Yourself?
am at the other Muhammad.
Oh.
There's too many Muhammads. It's the most common name in the world, so I'm the other one.
So like if someone's going out with you, who are you going out with? I'm going out with the other Muhammad.
Exactly.
Like that's fine then.
Yeah.
Just don't go out with the Muhammad.
The thing is, no one will ever say that. No one is going out with me. So it's not going to happen. If you're enjoying the podcast, please give us a review on whatever platform you're listening on. iTunes. I actually...
If you have a notepad next to you, write a nice review on it.
Exactly.
Put it on your desk.
Yeah, and then put it on what is it? The
put it in your mailbox?
No,
Oh.
the plane.
Make it an airplane.
Airplane.
Oh
and
yeah,
throw it
just
out
throw
of
it out
the
the
window.
window. So make sure that you also, when you throw it out the window, say please listen to what's inside the plane. yeah, and make sure the plane doesn't crash in the wall.
Yep, and also subscribe to our Patreon. We'll get to that in a bit. We have very juicy stuff up there. Last one was really fun. We got some very good feedback on that one.
I'm telling you, man, we're giving away tips that are worth millions of dollars. If you ever wanted to have a big social media platform, or you wanted to basically know what to invest in, bitcoins and everything, that's a Patreon episode.
Yeah, if you also want to learn about the big pharma conspiracy I'm trying to fight with the comedians about, we just had a whole thing. I don't know if you look at that.
If I remember correctly, I think we did an interview with Obama.
Yeah, right.
On one of the pages, if I remember correctly.
I
Only if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think it's one of the cheap ones.
Yeah.
You don't want to listen to that.
I think we deleted it.
No, yeah. But I think people should go and listen to me talking conspiracy theory about the drug.
Absolutely.
Because, I just, I don't know if you looked at the comedians group today. I was having this massive fight with the comics.
Really?
Yeah, because they said that they're going to have a third booster for Pfizer, and I just lost it at them.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Enough,
I'm like,
man.
you fucking sheep. And I just went on like, yeah, keep listening to the government. Yeah, do you want the best interest for all of us?
Exactly, yeah.
And they're like, oh, are you also like, do you also deny the climate change? I'm like, this is a stupid argument. It's like, I'm talking about the one thing, and they just lump me with like a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're still talking about big pharma.
Yeah.
Like, now we're just gonna, like, what is your take on that? Like, they literally just said, Pfizer said, oh, we're talking about a booster now.
So I'm half and half. So when it came to the vaccine, I wasn't the very conservative, I'll wait and see kind of type.
Yeah.
I was a bit like, I'm open to the idea, but I wasn't like, oh my God, sign me up right now.
Right.
So with the booster thing, I think I'm not too excited about it because I feel like, well, I've done two. That seems a more standard type.
Right.
This seems like a little like, hey, just wanted to add one more. I'm like, wait. It's like when you have someone do your house decoration and give you quotation, and then it'll be like 100,000, and then afterwards, but we could add some special floors.
That's right.
And we could add the wall.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just gonna slip on paint for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Also, you can't leave your house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's like, wait, how much for that one? $1 million? Wait, that wasn't why you came
And also,
here.
if that painter or that person has a really bad track record of ripping you off and stealing your money and not giving you shit for it back, you're gonna be a little bit skeptical. That was basically my whole
fair
point.
enough. I mean, like, so for the booster, for me right now, if you told me, hey, would you sign up right now? I'm like, no. What about say lucky draws? Still
no, but
not there
what
yet.
really frustrates me is that they're gonna link it just like the first one. They're gonna just like, oh, you can't travel somewhere without a booster.
For
it's
sure,
like all this shit.
They'll get you,
I'm
man.
like, it's never gonna end.
This is why the people who are lonely win. Because they don't have friends to go find, they don't have places to go travel. They're at home. They're like, I was one-upping you this whole game the whole time.
Yep.
Oh man, stupid me with my social life.
Let's get to our guest. I'm very excited for this one. Today we have our buddy Anson Chen. Anson, how are you doing?
I'm good. Good to be here.
Yeah, Anson Chen over here. Now we're actually recording this in my room here with 3 microphones, everyone.
Woo!
Yeah, look at us having 3 different cables going into
thanks
one
to
interface.
the Patreon cash.
Yeah, so if you haven't supported Patreon, just know that you're stealing. You're stealing right now.
Yeah, literally, if you're listening on a free platform, shame on you. You should turn it off.
These cables were not bought by you.
Also, I managed to take a cab today because of Patreon.
Yeah, this episode could have been later.
Yeah, exactly.
But because of Patreon, you got here in time. The electricity bill was still paid for, and I had my power. So basically, I want to say to all you free people, continue listening. But just know you're doing it out of guilt.
Yes.
Anyway,
we also said Anson, and we did not say what he does. It's like, oh yeah, we're sitting with Anson. Everyone's like, who the fuck is Anson?
Yeah.
So Anson, we go back a few years. We met each other in Shanghai, and I met you when you're running Shanghai's only magic bar at the time.
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about the magic bar experience. How did you get into magic? So Anson is a magician, that's right?
Yes.
What else do you do?
I'm a magician, I'm a hypnotherapist, and I'm an entrepreneur.
I like how you added the hypnotherapist, like not just hypnotist, but like hypnotherapist, and it makes it seem so much more like healthy.
It is healthier. Yeah. So just so people know that I'm not making them barking like a dog or talking like a chicken.
Do you go by a doctor?
No, doctor. No, you do not.
Do a
need
hypnotherapist like because you have therapists? Like I feel like I should just call you a doctor, Dr. Chen.
No, don't do that.
Is that gonna get you in trouble?
No, it's not.
It's just weird.
Yeah, no, it's weird. It's weird.
So you grew up in Hong Kong, right?
Yep.
But I met you in Shanghai.
No, I was born in Taiwan. I grew up in Hong Kong.
Oh, I didn't know the Taiwan part. So you're born in Taiwan. Where are your parents from?
My mom was from Taipei, and my father's from Hong Kong.
Okay, cool. So where did they meet?
They met in
At a magic show.
no
That would
my
be gold.
magic show.
Yeah.
Wait,
He's a product.
That's our kid, but he's doing the show for us before. Wait, magic.
No,
I know.
they met in Taiwan. I moved to Hong Kong when I was 7.
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
you went to
Taiwan.
kindergarten in Taiwan, or like
That's right.
preschool or something.
Correct.
Okay. Do you remember anything from Taiwan?
That the teachers were mean, but that applies to Hong Kong too.
Yeah.
So that's not specifically about Taiwan.
What is the main difference between like school? Obviously, Vivek, you also went
Yeah.
to school here. So what is the main difference between school as a kid in Taiwan versus Hong Kong?
The
'Cause
language?
Obviously, I didn't go to school here.
Well,
yeah,
the language,
Taiwan. I was too young. I don't remember.
But you remember that the teachers were
Yeah,
mean.
Just I remember mean faces when I look back.
Yeah,
I'm like,
but
yeah,
that's the generic teacher look, right? I can't be your friend. Learn the multiplication table, enemy.
you went to school in Hong
I
Kong.
went to local Chinese school over here, so I got like the proper local education where
Okay,
the
so
teacher's
you know.
like not getting paid enough. Neither are my friends rich and stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, terrible.
Right,
But
right.
I mean, I have to say though, the good thing with the local system is that you have to figure it out yourself. Did you go to local school or?
I did. Yes, I did.
Okay, yeah. So you know, like the school's kind of like the teachers go in there, they're like, just figure it out. I'm not getting paid enough to deal with this.
No, and then it's like figure it out, and I'm gonna look for spots where you're wrong.
Yeah. So that's another
Yeah.
thing. Like local school teachers are very good at not complimenting you, but letting you know that you've improved. Like they'll you get 100 points out of
So it's
100
like
points.
an insult sandwich kind of?
No,
or a
it's
compliment sandwich?
yeah, it's a different
Okay.
thing. Like where it's clearly like you were the top student, you got 100 out of 100 and stuff like that. They're like,
Yeah.
you've improved. Like,
Yeah, it's never like you're very
yeah,
good.
it wasn't
yeah.
a good job. You're like, oh, you did well. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that became really clear to me after I went to the local school and I moved to international school.
Yeah.
That's when it became.
Oh, international
wow.
school was
I
like, they're like, Anson, well done. You're like,
Yeah. You're
you
like, that's
lying?
it?
What do you want?
You're just
Yeah.
like hiding. You're like waiting for the insult.
yeah,
that's right.
Well done, as in I'm like a piece of steak and you want to fry me and kill. Like, what? Yeah, I see the difference.
Did you grow up speaking Cantonese when you were in Taiwan, or did you start learning?
No,
here?
I started learning here, and then like.
Oh, what was that like
You
when
learn
you moved
as you get bullied for a little
Yeah,
while.
exactly. Yeah, like that's the phrase.
So
for
you came
okay,
here
gonna
like the
punch him.
Mandarin speaking kid, or was
Yeah,
it English?
I did. Yeah, I nailed Mandarin classes. It
Right,
was really
yeah, of
easy.
course.
But I don't know. There's something about the Hong Kong Cantonese culture is that if they're not very forgiving in
Right.
the process of you learning Cantonese, so I think that made me learn.
Was there a
fast.
bit of animosity from the kids that you're like the kid who speaks Mandarin? Like when did you go to school? Like which year?
Year 7, I think.
No, as in like what?
No,
19.
which, yeah,
I know.
is
Yeah.
it like
You're
1600s?
7. So Mo, this is what happens. You went to local school, education in the brain. Went to international school, just reversed it.
yeah.
What year did you go to school? You're 7. I'm like, okay, that's not how. Okay,
Yeah,
I was 8. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
What are you, a chick? You don't want to say you're
Wait, no, you're.
I was
I
born
have
in
to
the
calculate.
Yeah.
That's like the easier way.
right.
Yeah.
So when
you're-
you were born plus 7 years.
That's right. So that would be 1999.
Oh,
No.
gosh. 92.
No, yeah, that's correct. 1999.
So, Mo, I would like
Why
to-
are you
Among
making
the
me do
three of
this?
us, the Asian guys, messing up the math.
Yeah. This is so perfectly showing you the international school level of
Yeah,
mathematics.
you grasped onto that and you're
Yeah.
just gonna hammer.
Oh,
it.
I failed mathematics consistently in my local school, but I was one of the top of the class. in
International.
my
I know.
international school. That's
Because I have relatives who are in international schools, and I would look at their test papers. I'm like, wait, this is the joke, right? this is what
Yeah.
you do. Like, yeah. I'm like, no wonder you're the top student of
Right,
your year.
yeah.
Yeah. But okay. So either way, so you studied. So 1999 was like basically 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Damn, you're young.
7.
Wait, so you're born 1991? Is that
92.
92.
shit,
Oh
you're
my
young.
God.
He's so
Yeah.
even for me. He's so young.
I need a document.
All
here
right, I
saying,
think
like-
we should stop this episode. All right, bye,
Yeah.
Anson.
Okay,
we
see
don't.
you guys.
Yeah, I worry now, man. I feel like a little bit. I'm like, do we have to have?
Yeah, we're
certain-
sitting in your bedroom. I think we should get a.
Yeah, with two men. Well, we do have video footage of this. So
That's why he wanted to set up
Yeah.
his video. Okay,
That's right, I
He's like,
wasn't
I'm gonna be
sure.
with two older creeps
Yeah,
in a
that's right.
bedroom.
Exactly. This is
So
not
my
really good.
original
All right.
question
Yeah,
was:
let's get back.
was there a bit of an animosity from the Hong Kong kids when you're like that Mandarin speaking kid?
Yeah, I mean, it was more from the teachers. I feel like
Really?
it's like there's this passive aggressive
Right.
attitude from teachers, but it wasn't like overt, you know.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
It was like kind of like, oh, God.
Because obviously the it's shifting now towards like more, I don't know how you want to call it, forgiving or welcoming to people from mainland and people who
Yeah.
speak Mandarin.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm interested in like what was it like in that period? Was
yeah,
it
I was
like,
the only one in the class. Yeah.
Oh
They could
wow.
speak Mandarin, right?
Okay.
Yeah, back then it wasn't a common thing here in Hong
Was
Kong.
it compulsory back then to learn Mandarin at school?
They have one class, so it
Oh,
would be
so it's
like
not
it would
really-
be like physical.
Yeah.
You know, it would be like PE class.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
So you know just enough to be like, I've done the lesson, but
Right,
not
right.
enough to actually survive anywhere with the language.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can graduate without being
So
able to
what
speak.
what is it
Yeah.
like now? Is
Now,
it like,
so local schools, a lot of local schools have Mandarin classes, and it's kind of very common.
yeah.
I wouldn't say it's at the level of mandatory that everyone must be speaking. There are some schools who are like, you must only speak Mandarin in the school. There are some of
Yeah.
those schools, yeah.
But you have to like go there, like sign up for the Mandarin.
No,
like,
no,
as
no.
a
I mean, the
parent.
school will be. No, the school is kind of like they will have basically the school's a Mandarin speaking school.
Right, right.
So you're there, and if you speak in Cantonese, you get punished.
Oh shit.
So there's some of those schools. 'Cause I guess some parents are thinking like, hey, I'll send my kid to Mandarin speaking school. They speak Mandarin at school, speak Cantonese at home, and good enough.
Right,
Right.
yeah,
So
okay.
I get it. I get it. There's two different ways. But I
Yeah.
think with international schools, there are way more Mandarin classes now. I think
Yeah.
the whole world in general is more interested in Mandarin nowadays.
yeah.
Yeah. So you have that.
Which I actually get from that perspective. Like
Yeah.
in Cantonese, you can basically only speak it in Hong Kong.
Yeah, yeah,
And like
that's-
Guangzhou or something.
yeah, it's quite
But
limited.
in Mandarin, yeah.
Yeah.
With aside from politics,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
Mandarin
yeah.
is
Definitely.
much more useful.
Way more popular
Yeah.
language. Yeah. Okay, but then international schools, local schools. I'm guessing international school was where you kind of got to see a more broader world around you, and like people would do more different things. Like local schools are very fixed on the more practical, the more like, okay, study this, you get that grade, you have this job waiting for you one day. Whereas international schools, they don't mind and encourage you to kind of get creative sometimes or kind of try something different. Was that where you would say your mind kind of opened up completely?
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for the switch in international school, I wouldn't have pursued my career in magic and hypnosis and
Yeah.
all that kind of.
Yeah, you would have only pursued a
Creative
hobby
stuff.
in magic then. It would just at most be a hobby.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also the encouragement to get you to perform.
Yeah.
As opposed to if you try to perform, they beat you down. It's such a different culture.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah. Like if
Right.
you performed magic to like a local school teacher, even if it was great, they were like, you've improved.
Or like, how about your homework?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
How about
exactly.
you use that magic in your
Exactly.
mathematics, right?
Yeah,
Magically get the right answer instead. Oh yeah, full on. Local schools are very like, straightforward as in like, this is not practical, don't waste your time with it.
Damn.
Yeah. And also like when you're at that age, I don't know, like 13, 14, 15, growing up in that teenage years,
Yeah.
you're very sensitive. Although
Sure.
you may not know that you're very sensitive. I don't know if you started doing stand-up comedy at that age.
Not that
But-
young, man.
Like,
But I
you're-
know what you mean, yeah.
You're very vulnerable to it. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I was lucky. I learned it for a couple of years at the local school. I basically did it for friends only. I never performed publicly at a school because there is this no show off type of.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
Culture.
everyone is just kind of keeping
Yeah.
themselves and trying not to get too much attention.
Yeah, there's
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And then once I switched to the international school, I was really grateful to have some really good teachers.
Yeah.
The performing arts teacher.
Yeah, they would
was
genuinely
very
be interested.
encouraging.
Yeah, exactly. They'd be like, "Oh, actually, show me." You're like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So-
it's like the cultivating like the talent as well, like someone who's doing something different. I think in international school it's more forgiving to that. It's like, oh yeah, this kid is different. He likes to do something that, because everyone wants to be maybe a doctor or a pilot or something, and you're the weirdo who wants
Yeah,
to do
to a
something.
point where they had this career assessment when you graduate.
Yeah.
right?
Ah,
And
nice.
Mine was the shortest one because the department had just wrote one single word, and the word was magician, and that was it.
Wow. So that was it. They were just like, "Yep, that's the way even we think so."
Yeah.
Did you know, like you obviously you're interested in magic as a kid, but did you really have that conviction that that's what you're gonna do with your life, or was it more like I'm gonna try to do that and see what happens?
Neither. I think I just keep doing it. I
Right.
have no intention of
It's
making...
interesting because I think that would be a very common trait you'd see in at least a lot of successful performers in Hong Kong initially, and to a certain point, like they're still doing it not because of the money, and they never did it for the money, but obviously like they're not going to be doing it for free. But
Yeah.
the idea is that you would have been doing it even if you never succeeded money wise.
I think that's what it takes to be good in any art form. right?
Yeah.
That's true.
That you're willing
Yeah.
to go there even there's no real returns in that sense, the monetary returns.
Yeah, and also at that age, I just had no thoughts about. I think about like I have to do this and
Yeah.
make money or get
Yeah.
famous in any way.
Yeah.
I just enjoyed doing the next thing. I was like, oh, there's a show. I want to do that show.
Can I ask you this though then? So like a lot of listeners, the people in general, the challenge is when do you know that that's the road you want to take? Like when was that moment that you're like, this is what was it the teachers? Was it someone said something or just a moment where you did a show? You're like, this feels great. This is what I want to do. Like there's a moment that you kind of go like, this is it.
Yeah, if you don't know, that's not it.
Okay.
I
Right.
think like
Yeah.
if you have to ask that question, then keep going and
Keep trying
see
different
if,
stuff and see whatever.
if
Also-
you get that click moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in stand up, I don't know how different it is in magic. In stand up, the road starts with open mic, right?
Yeah.
So everyone who's interested in stand up, you always start at open mic level. Unless you're some genius and you met the right guy or whatever who takes you on tour, but 99.9% of comics start at open mic. Is it the same for magicians? Like when you're starting at the beginning of the ladder, what do you do? You perform for your friends, obviously, because that's something in stand up you can't really do. You can't just make of course you can make your friends laugh, but you're not really
It's not
improving.
real. Yeah, it's not
It's not
genuine.
real.
Yeah, there's a difference. Like
Yeah.
Andy and I talk about the difference between comedy and magic a lot, and us too.
Yeah.
I think stand-up comedy as an art form right now, as a form of entertainment, is
Yeah.
so much more. In some way, it's so much more established as
Mature. Yeah.
as a form of entertainment. Like you've got your kind of process. You start with a open mic. You
Yeah.
go into doing spots, and then from spots you headline. From headline you go on some shows perhaps, and then you have your own podcast. You grow your audience, and you have your own shows. Magic, every person has a different way. There's no
Huh. So
There's
there's
no
no
set
like kind of
ways,
ladder
yeah.
to it.
Oh, I would have thought because like I would have thought the first step would go to a store and they'll probably have a few of those foundational things that you buy in a box, the package ones. Because like, I'm trying to look at it from like music as well. So if you want to learn guitar,
Yeah.
they have the starter pack with like a little amp and a little basic guitar, and they'll have the books with like these are the chords you want to learn first. Would there be those kinds of foundational building
Oh yeah,
blocks?
yeah. When it comes to learning, I think when it comes to learning, magic offers a more forgiving way, a path for beginners.
Right.
Yeah.
Where you get established magicians from the past publishing books, DVDs, or now on YouTube you get downloads and so on and so forth that you can learn. Whereas comedy, you just have to write
just do
and
it. Yeah.
die, right?
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah.
suck
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
3 months.
Because with comedy, it's different. Like with magic, even if it's the exact same trick, there's some technique involved. So people do appreciate it and say, "Hey, that was really nice. I've seen that trick by someone else, but the fact that you did it is impressive." Whereas with comedy, I'm like, I did a bit. They're like, that's a Jerry Seinfeld bit. But I did it exactly the same.
Yeah, that's exactly the difference. That's exactly the difference. And even that within that framework, magicians are constantly looking for variations within classic plots, as we call them,
Right.
and finding new twists within
Yeah.
them, as
So you
opposed to
do your
always,
own take on the what is it? Or how do you call it? The plot?
the plot, the effect, the piece, like a bit like chefs. Like if you look at dishes, there are only
their
that
own take
many
on that dish. Yeah.
dishes that you can really do, and
Right.
you add a twist, you add a new kind
Spice
of
or
thinking
whatever.
or perspective to it,
Yeah.
and make that fresh, no?
Because the thing is this, is that a lot of people, initially when they see magicians, right, it's like, okay, I've seen the guy's the card trick, it's the fire trick, he swallows the fire, that kind of deal. And then, the first time is very impressive. Then if you've seen magic before, or let's say you're a performer and you see many magicians, and you're like, hey, this is the same thing. Do you have a code of conduct where, like, at some point, these are just basic tricks and you shouldn't be using this as like your magic act? You get my point? Like there are I've seen many magicians who basically they'll do the same thing as like, I've got the card, I throw the card out, and this is my card, right? And it's the same kind of technique, same kind of whole flow of the whole process. The looking for the missing card is a type of magic, but the whole thing is that this is this card, I have the deck, I do the shuffle and I find it, and it's the same twist.
Right.
Do you have is there a certain code of conduct? Like if you say you want to say you do a professional gig, you should be using some element that's your own, or can it just be a store-bought trick? Because I've seen comics at professionally paid gigs just do clearly a store-bought trick.
Magicians?
Right.
Well,
Or
people,
comics?
magicians.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I don't want to say the word magician because I always feel like, if you say you're a comedian, like, please be original.
Yeah,
If you say you're a
right.
magician, like, give me your magic.
Yeah,
But I don't know
that is sadly the current state of affair with magic, and also the kind of capitalist marketing of magic that this way of sharing. I think it gets to a certain point where beginners should make that leap and start maybe reading the classics and learning the classics and then adding their own twist to it, as opposed to doing things
Just doing the things.
yeah,
that-
just word by word
Yeah.
and step
because
by
it's
step.
still, I guess, gonna be impressive for some time. But as he said, like, if I see you and I don't know you, and you work at a venue and you're doing the card trick, I'm gonna like it because I already know the trick, but I want to see it from you live. But if I come back and you're doing the same thing, I'm like, all right, I know you can do that, and it's still impressive. But like, what is your stuff?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Right?
a slightly different point. It's like a comedian doing the same joke.
That's right.
Like he'll
Yeah.
be working on his bit, and the person comes back to the show and
Yeah.
sees the same bit, not finding it funny, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
very
Yeah.
forgivable. Like
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
However, I think taking someone else's material and memorizing it and re-executing it has its limits, and it's not probably very praisable.
Yeah, because I'll be honest with you, like, the one time I was really turned off of magic in general, I was doing a corporate gig, and I think I was the MC, and they had a really famous magician here from Hong Kong, and he was doing this trick where they tell a story about how, my dad used to take me out to the snow, and it was a really beautiful time, but now I'm here in Hong Kong, and I miss the snow, but I always felt that with a little bit of magic, I could make the snow happen. You might know this trick where basically they have, like, the tissue,
Yep.
they tear it up, and it just, like, basically shoots out a whole bunch of tissue particles
Yep.
and becomes a snow effect. I've seen that online. I've seen it on YouTube and stuff like that. I think it was someone.
David Copperfield.
Yeah. So there you go. So there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I saw that and I was like, wait, is this considered a hack? Like, did this guy just steal? Is that considered stealing?
Yeah,
Is it
you saw a hack.
Okay, there you go.
So in your word, that's considered a hack, even if.
Well, I actually spoke to Andy about this exact topic, and he said if you haven't seen it, then it's not a hack. So in a sense, I mean, the artist knows.
So I'm saying, as a magician yourself, what would you consider? Like, as a comedian myself, I've seen many shows where audiences like dying laughing. I'm like,
Right.
that is such a basic bit that
Right,
everyone has done.
like someone is doing, a very basic accent with no joke.
Yeah.
For example, and the audience are like laughing. You're like, yeah, okay, you don't really know what is, you know.
That comedian's funny because they were the first in the lineup. Because, like, had anyone done their set, they probably had the same thing.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
So as a comedian, I'm like, this is a shame. Like, I cannot believe that this is what's going on. Like, what's your take on that?
It's how much work you put into it. Right? It
Yeah.
can be, look, a classical pianist plays the music by,
Yeah,
Beethoven,
Mozart or-
Mozart, but the amount of work and mastery that goes into it makes that person the classical pianist that he or she is.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. I mean, also, if you look at photographers or, digital artists, are you just taking someone's face and Photoshop that on Andy Warhol's work?
Yeah.
That's not any
Yeah.
good. But however, if you put that in the right context with the right audience, they go like, wow, that's really original. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it really comes down to what the artist puts in and having that value kind of, I don't know, maybe it's a self-value thing.
Because like I'm a big person on like where's your added value to it. Like even if you take a concept that someone's done, I'm like,
Right.
where's your part?
Right.
Right. Like I give a lot of leeway to comedians who have a similar bit or a similar setup or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
like, but where's your take on it?
Right.
Like, for example, I many years ago I would have like some bits about the typical terrorist kind of joke and stuff like
Right.
that. But I would never be worried that a comedian before me did a terrorist bit, so my bit's gonna fall flat. I'm like, because my bit's my little take on it, and I'm
Right.
not worried that it's going to be exactly the same punchline
Right.
because it's my weird version of it.
Yeah, and
So-
also your take is not necessarily in a very literal sense. Like it's not just the words that are different. Maybe
Yeah.
it's the way you deliver, or maybe because of the context of your
Yeah.
performance style that
Yeah.
makes it different.
Exactly
Yeah.
who you
So-
are in the story or something like that.
So coming back to magic, because I'm always fascinated about the idea of like I appreciate how someone needs to learn the basics and those tricks that maybe is like like I'm sure you have scales or something like equivalent to music where you have to learn the basic, like know how to like flip the card behind the hand, put how to make the coin vanish behind the finger, stuff like that. Like there must be like a basic foundational building block that you should be going through all. Like in drumming, you have like the whole different types of beats that you have to learn. In guitar, you have to learn all the chords. Otherwise, don't tell me you're a guitarist if you don't know those chords, right? So as a magician, is there like, let's say, a set bunch of scales that you should be good enough, and that should be like basics at least?
I would say, again, this is very personal because magic is not like an established art form like the way music is treated.
Right.
And drummers and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So everybody has a different journey. But I would say for me and the kind of magic I like, card magic is the basis of that. Although it may look the same. It may look like you pick a card, a card is placed back, and then you somehow found it. Right? But the execution of it and the learning and the psychology, the sleight of hand and everything that makes it come together can make a big difference. And again, it's the effort that you put into it. But I would say card magic is the foundation.
Okay, so
magic.
everyone kind of starts like to simplify things to comics. Card magic is open mic, basically.
Card magic is well, let's say that.
Okay.
Like if you can't even do that right, it's like, okay, you know, I think you maybe should go back and rethink and rework yourself before you be like, oh, I'm a magician, here's my name card, stuff like that.
That goes through my head sometimes.
So
I would not disagree. If it was up to me to make the rules, and let that be rule number one.
Right. Okay. You hear that, budding magicians out there? All right. Let's go back to your story a bit. So you went through school, all of that. You're interested in magic. When was your first? So how did you learn? Like, did you go to a place to learn? Did you seek out a master? I don't know what you call it. Like a guru?
Yeah, both.
So tell us a little bit about that.
I started
journey.
self-learning. I started learning. Actually, it was a magic shop not far from here, here in Hong Kong. And I used to go there every single day after school. I would just like give up socializing and go
shop
to school.
still does it still exist?
No, unfortunately not. Most magic shops are dying.
Which area was that shop?
Wan Chai.
Oh, was it a 188?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
damn,
okay.
You know it.
Damn.
There are two though. There's one underneath and there's one above.
Yeah, was it the underneath one?
The underneath one was a super tiny one.
Yeah, I remember.
Did you know the owner?
I did not know the owner, but like that mall is like a typical teenager going to mall. They used to have like basketball cards and stuff like that. I used to go there for the basketball cards, or even like, so back then with computer games, there was a phase when, there was a phase when basically, exactly, third booster.
Take the boost.
So there was a phase when you would go and look for games, and there'll be some of these shops that don't sell pirated CDs and DVDs. What they do is they have the game, you bring your own empty CD disc, and they copy it onto it.
Oh yeah, they do that.
Right?
Yeah.
So I used to go there, like there's this one shop they used to do it. I'm like, oh, this is not piracy. This is just copying.
Yeah.
Exactly, right?
Yeah. That's the China logic of a lot of things.
Yeah,
too.
there you go.
Technology.
Turns out they already took over Hong Kong before 97, huh? hey, dangerous. Okay. Banned. All right.
Yeah. So you would hang out at the shop 188 from which age to which age? You said you did it for a long time.
Say like 12 to all the way 16, 17.
Shit.
Yeah.
Every day, right?
Yeah.
You just completely give up social life. That you just found your thing.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by that because like when I was this age, I was all over the place.
Yeah.
I went from like, in this year, like these years, very formative, and I had no idea who I was. I went from like being really into girls to being really into football to being into WWE. Like I was just all over the map.
It was WWF, by the way. Back then.
It was WWF. Yes. It was like Ric Flair and all these guys. The Undertaker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When he said Harley Davidson.
Yeah. That was
so
cool, man. Paul Bearer, all that stuff, man. Yeah.
Kane when he was burning fire. Anyway, we're losing all these right now.
Don't make him disappear, Mohammed. The magic trick doesn't start there.
But I'm fascinated by a kid who finds his thing from such a young age and latching onto it, because I wish I had done that,
Yeah, I don't know. There's no like there. The interesting thing is, at that age there was no determination.
Right.
You just
found
want to
your thing.
learn.
Fun.
You're just curious, and you just want to learn. And sometimes I think as we grow up as performers or artists, it's good to remind ourselves of that. That I just want to do the next thing. I just want
Yeah.
to do it. And-
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I was.
So I think that's also part of like as you grow as a performer and you get into the real world of business and everything, and then you kind of get jaded a bit. You know, I'll just do another gig, whatever. And sometimes like this works, it's good enough. This is a corporate gig. I'll do my corporate set. It's
Yeah.
all set, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have those moments for Magic when you get like bookings and you go to the venue? You're like, oh crap, this is gonna be one of those corporate things, like very very flat ones where you're like, oh, they're gonna love the really
Yeah,
lame ones.
I did. I think I did, and then I tried not to. I think here this is one of the hidden blessings of Magic, where there is no path.
Yeah.
You have to create your own path. So I did that, and most of them are not very satisfying because at most you are entertaining, which is good, but then sometimes you are a advertisement of some products,
Yeah.
or your
Yeah.
advertisement or representative of some company,
Yeah.
and that becomes like, whoa, what am I?
Yeah,
what am I doing? And then,
Yeah.
but that pays more than
Yeah.
if you
Of
did a
course.
real
Yeah.
show. Then I started kind of, whenever I can, I started not to do so much of that. And
So,
then,
because let me ask you this, and like, what was the moment that you had when you said, you know, as much as that will pay me a lot, I don't want to give up my integrity in that sense of Magic? Because like when I do a lot of like, let's say private annual party, I saw corporate annual parties. Every now and then they'll get a magician performer, right?
Yeah.
They'll always have that trick where they'll get the boss up. The boss has got to pick the card or whatever, and like maybe like there's a sheet of paper, and boom, it's the company logo.
Oh.
yeah, I know that's really bad, man.
Oh my god!
Oh,
Did
shit.
he just make that appear?
I
What a coincidence! Oh
I
my
just
god!
puked in my mouth a bit,
Yeah.
not knowing that that's a trick because I haven't seen one. Like,
Yeah.
haven't seen it live. That
Yeah.
still sucks.
The
Even
worst
from
thing is-
you describing it, it still sucks.
The worst thing is after they do it and everyone's like, "Well, I'm the MC," going like, "God, that was so awesome!"
Yeah, you have to now.
Yeah, of course.
I'm like,
Oh, man.
wow. Like my favorite one was it was for like Schneider Electric or something like that, and the magician was basically what he did. He had a box and he just suddenly made these switches appear. Like that's obviously Schneider,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And he just boom, 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 3 switches. And I went there. I'm like, this guy is awesome. He never buys your products. He just makes them appear for free.
Nice.
Because I was at the moment like, please, I need something for myself.
Yeah.
I need to laugh at this. I cannot do it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So, have you had those moments, or is that like basically something that a lot of magicians have to go through and get to a point of like, you know what, I've done that? Like as a comedian as well, I've had moments where I have to go to company office rooms and be like, here's my presentation of what I will do at your party tonight.
Yeah, I mean, there's two aspects of that. I mean, one, yes, it is often commercial, and you're working with people who have no idea whether or not something is good
Yeah.
or how audience would perceive things, like those presentations. On the other side, there is a creative aspect to it.
Yeah.
That if sometimes, you can create something really, really stunning.
Yeah.
So yeah, it depends on whether or not that's something you want to do.
Okay.
So
So
that's a poor execution. That's a very extreme example of like plugs out of a box.
I mean, like I can understand, because it is a very typical corporate annual party of like super conservative, like let's not try anything crazy.
Right,
The
yeah.
CEO's
Yeah.
over there; he doesn't want any surprises,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it's a shame because, like, as a performer, as an artist, you're like, if I had to do that, I'd be like killing myself, looking in the mirror, going like, what am I doing, man? What is this?
I think also, as an artist, you always kind of want to push buttons.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that
Hey! Schneider Electric switches. This is a very good.
this is how comedians are really proud of themselves,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
When we suddenly think of a really lame.
Shut it off,
line.
everybody. We get the joke of the
That's the
night.
equivalent of that magician.
Yeah, who actually finds the card? That is the actual card. Oh my
The
god.
appearing logo.
Yeah. Oh
It's the
my
appearing
god.
logo of jokes.
I'm
right
waiting
there.
for the day the magician forgets to change the box from yesterday's gig with the other company logo. And it's like, hey, yeah, the trick's on you.
Yeah.
Because like the thing is, I've seen like magicians or like, let's say, the face changing performers, and that's another one where every time I do any kind of gig, if I'm the MC,
What is
and
it, like Game of Thrones? Like you just
You know the face change? You never seen the
no.
Chinese?
Is it
Okay,
like
so
Chinese opera style?
yeah.
Oh, okay, I
that
do
one,
know
right?
that.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about, right?
Yeah,
So
okay.
that one to me, so I've done gigs
I
with
genuinely thought it's like way more like
complex.
sophisticated.
Yeah,
than-
it's just like click
exactly.
a button, boom,
Okay.
right? So then every single time, of course, it's like the changing of the mask and everything, and then one will be Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and the last one is like, oh, it's the boss, right? One of those, right?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
You've never seen the Chinese face changing,
But the
performance?
boss doing it?
No, the boss is a printing of the boss's
Oh,
face.
Yeah, it's so lame.
I thought the boss is doing
No,
the whole act.
man,
That's
no.
like
You're like,
that's
wow.
not-
The general
yeah,
rule
that-
is that if the boss is not the butt of the joke,
Yeah.
it's so fucking lame.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
Yeah, just don't, man.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So like, when I'm there, I'm just like, of course. Let me guess. I'm gonna count 5 more
Yeah.
faces, 4
Yeah.
more faces. It's the boss. I
Yeah,
knew it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh, look, it's the assistant as well. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that you're at a point now where clearly you're a bit more established in the sense that people would come watch you for your act. Like they want to see the Anson magic, sorry.
Yeah.
Right? So what was the point that you kind of felt like, I think I've established my brand, my style, my personality, this is my show, this is my a brand of magic.
I think in order to get that, we gotta go back to your story a little bit.
Oh yeah,
Because
let's
I
actually
was
let you
interested-
finish. Yeah, we never.
Yeah. I was interested in the. So who did you seek out when you first started?
Okay, so after that couple of years in the magic shop,
Yeah.
I started. Yeah, I was really lucky, man. I started traveling with, by myself to seek out magicians, some of the greatest magicians, and learn from them. Armando Lucero, he's one of the best sleight of hand artists. Juan Tamariz, the best card magician, best magician probably in Spain in the last.
How did
100
you connect
years.
with them?
And Bob Kohler, Benjamin Earl, all these wonderful magicians.
Even I know some of these names.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I heard of them.
Yeah. I think it comes down to how serious you are and how appreciative you are when it comes to magic.
I just like
and-
imagine like a cute story of like a little Asian boy going to Europe and he's like, "Hi, I'm interested," and
Yeah.
he makes you like clean the room for like 100 days. Until he
the
teaches you.
toilet.
The magician's like, we're not adopting. Let's go.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
And then after like 100 days, you're still here. It's like the movies, you know?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, "Here, you are a good boy," and
Yeah.
then he's like teaches you something.
Yeah, the Karate Kid.
Yeah,
yeah,
There you go.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you met these individuals, and what was the method? Like, did you just contact them out of the blue, or just
You contact them usually they do not have, like a course available. You just go, "Hey,
apprenticeship
can
or
I
whatever?"
Can
Yeah.
I spend some time and learn from you?" And then these guys are so good. It's not like they've never gotten that request.
I'm sure, yeah.
At the same time, so you kind of like find your way and then show your passion.
Were you more surprised as in like they were willing or they were nicer, or like they always say like you don't want to meet your idols because you're going to be
Oh,
disappointed?
you definitely want to meet your idols.
Well, there you go. So like you must have had a good experience with a lot of these people.
Yeah.
Right, and they probably opened your mind more than just magic.
Of course, like they yeah.
Would you have a few that have really stuck in your head where you're like, wow, like for example, if I use an example, like let's say Steve Martin had his quote like, "Be so good they can't ignore you." That was one that like stuck with me real deep. I'm like, that is such a good piece of advice that I have to be so good that even my enemies like, we got to book him.
Right.
Book this guy.
Right,
Like,
right.
were there anything outstanding things that they taught you that you were like, wow, that definitely changed the whole way I think?
Yeah, every one of them has something. Yeah, I can think like as you say that I think of Anthony Jacquin. He's perhaps one of the best hypnotists in the world.
Yeah.
And he opened my mind in ways that I couldn't imagine because I didn't know that's what hypnosis was. Hypnosis was not
Putting
a
people to
specific
sleep or
trance.
whatever.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
not
yeah.
sleep, and it was something that is everywhere. That is something that is occurring in our everyday life.
True.
And when
Like
that opened
advertising,
up,
everything is actually
advertising,
hypnotizing,
social
yeah.
media, podcasts,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
It is hypnosis.
We're
Yeah.
actually
The
hypnotizing you
implanting-
now.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, you guys are ganging up on me for
Patreon,
sure.
Patreon.
Subscribe, follow,
So wait,
listen.
how? Obviously, you're performing here to your friends a little bit, and then you meet all those people. When was your first gig when you're facing live audience and performing for the first time? A proper gig.
Oh, I was thinking just about that yesterday. I think I'm still somewhat traumatized
Yeah, I want to hear
by
that
that
story.
show. I was 13 years old, and I was
Wow.
encouraged to do a show
Yeah.
at a community center.
Here in Hong Kong.
Here in Hong Kong, it
Wow.
was for a group of older citizens, and I had a.
I wanted to get their account of the story, but
Oh
you know.
my God.
Yeah.
Oh, it absolutely.
But yeah, exactly.
No,
that was,
it
that
would
was
be-
way too long ago.
That was way too long ago. Yeah.
It would be the same.
He he got the joke like a minute
Exactly,
later.
yeah.
Very disappointing.
Yeah, you look at that. I would have asked, get there. I'm like, I know where you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. 13
So, yeah,
years
okay.
old. Yeah.
No, and yeah, it was outdoors, and I had this stage act, and it was. I didn't know how difficult it is to be on stage. That you would get nervous.
Yeah.
And that you don't know like where to put your body, your arms, and
Yeah.
like your placements of props and
Yeah.
sequencing, and I just
Just too many
kind
things.
of froze, and it was windy, and then the table was blowing over. It
Oh,
was just a
shit.
nightmare.
Yeah.
And so ever since I've been preparing kind of like meticulously
Yeah.
to a point so that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Since my second show ever, I've been
Yeah.
preparing like that. And recently I've been reviewing that, and I was thinking maybe that's not healthy. Like maybe
Right. It's
Too
like
much, right?
Too
It's too-
obsessive.
yeah, because you know, like sometimes a good stand-up comedy set is when you are
Thrown
Just
off
flowing.
a little
you're,
bit.
you're flowing, you're kind of loose,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
got your bits, but you're not like word for word.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I don't think I've been doing that for the last couple of years, but the process of preparation made me think of that first show.
But that first show was also you were too young. I'm thinking
Yeah.
more of like what is the first proper like paid gig that you're like more of an adult like professional magician that you're like so excited that this is in your head that's the first real
Like a
gig.
milestone, you know? You've
Yeah.
My first produced show where I sold tickets,
Yeah.
and where people paid to see
Yeah.
the shows, I was 18,
Yeah.
and I did a 70-minute show, I think 60-minute show at the Hong Kong Art Center in Wan Chai.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And it was not very good. It was the opposite of what I did.
Which room was it? Was this small, the Macaulay, the small black-
Macaulay, correct.
Yeah, the small.
It was actually good.
like
Thinking back,
70, 80 seat, 90
That's right.
seat or something
Right,
like that
right,
one,
right.
yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
your
It's a
own
black
produced
box.
show.
I did 2 nights, and there people came, and it was really exciting.
So for your perspective, you think they were happy but you're not happy with the show?
actually, now that you ask me, I would say I'm happy with that show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time
Because what
comics is the
are we
same.
doing? You know, like why are we beating our our
but
17-year-old?
You kind of have like, I know
self?
what you mean. Like,
Yeah.
you kind of have, I wanted to be at that level. It didn't really hit that point. You know, I wanted those big laughs and it didn't get that.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course not. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like I was
But I mean, like,
was 18.
looking back now, you're like, for an 18-year-old, for that level of experience, that was really good.
Yeah. There was a show. My high school teacher, who was very encouraging, Mr. Tyler, he produced it. He helped me
Wow.
produce the show.
so cool.
We had a set designer, and we had posters. There was a photographer, and like I was like,
It was
there
like
was
legit,
a production.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. The first real gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a poster, there's your face, there are people like paying
Yeah,
money and you
and,
feel
and
like,
I was so nervous because of that. I was nervous, and
Yeah.
I was preparing word for word everything, and then it became a little bit rigid. But I mean, like it was a show, man. So
Yeah,
it was
Did
good.
you have opening acts or was it just you?
No, it was just me.
Wow.
Wow.
All right, you're a fascinating dude, and we can keep talking to you forever. But I also don't want to I'm a little bit conscious of your time, so I want to just hit a couple of things.
Uh-huh.
One is, what is your your favorite show? What is like the gig that you still remember fondly after X amount of time passed? That's it. That's kind of what you want to replicate. Like I can think of a couple of shows I've done, maybe not necessarily the biggest one, but one headliner that I did. I'm like, that energy, I want to keep doing that.
Of me seeing someone's show?
No,
of
your show.
own show.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so there's, what I really enjoy is immersing myself in a period of time where I can do shows nonstop.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that is the best kind of flow. Like, like at Blackstone Magic Bar, where we did 3 to 7 shows a week.
Yeah.
And did that for 3 years basically. And when I was in Japan doing the magic bars, I was telling you, I did 8 to 10 hours of performances a day, 6 days a week.
Wow.
And I love that flow, and I love that process of creation. I love that
But didn't you hit a point of automation where you're just like,
No.
oh, really? You were
No.
like,
I would-
we had
no.
this
Wow.
conversation. I asked exactly the same question because comics. Imagine
after
if
like 2-3 nights, you're like, I'm
Yeah.
on autopilot now.
Yeah.
No. And then I remember I was so lucky my teacher Armando Lucero was also there in Japan. And we would stay from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. for 2 more hours of kind of review and practice.
Damn.
Wow.
So that I can kind of like, go to sleep happy that way.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of secrets in magic,
Yeah.
like learning. So I'm not gonna ask you anything about secrets. How do you do that or whatever? But what was a trick that when you learned, you were completely blown away by how it's done? Maybe you thought it's very difficult, and turns out it wasn't, or the other way. You can just tell us a trick, obviously, without the secret.
Yeah, I think it's when I got into mentalism. Mentalism is some of these psychological illusions or magic of the mind.
Yeah.
That I was like, wow, like this beautiful mix of what is real and what is fake is really, really intriguing. And sometimes even it takes a lot out of the performer in order to understand what you're presenting.
Yeah.
And then if you only look at the deception aspect of it,
Yeah.
you go, well, that's very simple. But actually, no, there's a whole psychological build-up.
Can
to
you
it.
give us an example of like a trick, like a common trick, or not common, just a trick that you learned that applies what you're saying applies to?
Yeah. So one thing I've kind of missed when I used to do this at Blackstone a lot was this blindfold mind reading sequence where I would be like blindfolded, obviously, and we would go into different people's mind and talk about not only the things that they've presented, but also their past, their future, and kind of mixing the tools of magic, deception, also fortune telling, cold reading, and so on and so forth to make it into really kind of strange, immersive experience.
Wow.
So that was interesting. Yeah.
Man, I need to see this.
I know. So I wanted to bring up something that you did when I was at Blackstone Magic. Like
Yeah.
I came a few times, and one of them, I don't think it was hypnosis. No, that was me. But no, I didn't want to talk about that. You got a couple of our friends, a couple who are like together.
Right.
And you were sitting in the middle of them, and they were both facing the audience. You probably know the trick. They're both facing the audience. You probably
did it, so
remember
okay.
it. Is my point? They're both facing the audience, and I think they were both blindfolded. And you had one of them have a bell, and the other person. So basically, he's sitting in the middle. All three of them are facing the audience. And then he walked up to the girl, and he had her hand out, and he touched her hand, and his hand moved with the bell.
Oh my god.
And
Yeah.
people were just freaking out.
Yeah.
Including me. I'm like, what the fuck? This
Yeah.
is sorcery. This is
Yeah.
not magic.
Yeah.
So
This is
for
a couple
example,
counseling right there, man.
Yeah.
Oh, you get so this is kind of like one of my, like this is really sometimes it produces emotions that you don't necessarily predict. Sometimes you get couples that just start crying
Yeah.
on stage because that is so overwhelming for them that.
Is this trick, is that considered very advanced, or is that medium, or is that like something like, okay, everyone can do that?
I'm pretty proud of that. So I think.
I mean, it was fucking
yeah,
impressive.
I'm pretty
No
proud
shit,
of it.
you're proud.
So I think it's.
But in
I
the
find it
magic
very
world,
advanced.
is it considered advanced?
I don't know what the magic word consider it, but I think the way that I've added certain elements to that kind of process, it is quite.
Okay, so what is
advanced. I would say
the
so.
standard way of doing it? Because you were talking about adding your own touch, right? Because
Yeah.
I've not seen that trick before done.
Yeah,
Because-
yeah, and then so I think part of that is to look out for things that like understanding the modern audience.
Yeah.
And see what's out there, and then finding things that are not, like, to answer your questions
Yeah.
from earlier, to look for things that are not in that's not being presented. And
Yeah.
for a while there was a period. Sorry, I'm totally
It's okay,
deviating.
we're all over the place this episode, and
don't
I
worry,
kind of
yeah.
like it.
So there
Yeah.
was a time in certain theaters where they said no zombie, which is a classic trick where there's a floating ball with a cloth over it.
Oh yeah.
No zombies and no egg bag. Like the theater would have a notice
Yeah.
that says
can't do
for
these.
magicians,
Yeah.
no zombies and no egg bag.
Yeah.
And so, but now you don't see zombies and you don't see egg bag. So
Yeah.
it's a very kind of like.
But yeah,
It
okay.
depends
So
on
what
the
is
audience.
what is the standard way of doing that trick, and what was your touch on it?
I how do I say this? I've completely changed the method and made it in a way that is.
I need to see this live, man.
I know.
I turned
Can I
it
see this
into
live? I need to
I
see
turned
this.
it into something that you would have just described.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
So
think
it
that's
wasn't
the
like that
difference.
before.
It's different. Yeah.
Are you careful of like telling me what the original thing was because you would sound like you're saying it's not good and you made it better?
No, that wasn't on my mind. But more no, because the person
Maybe
who,
I'm reading
who
your mind
created
now.
it, yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it was more that because with magic you create an illusion and that illusion lingers, and that story get passed down for
Dude, I've been telling
years.
people this story for years.
So
I'm not even
exactly.
kidding. I've seen that 4 years ago or something.
Right.
I tell that to someone once a month.
Right.
I am not exaggerating.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so one of the role of a magician, I think,
Yeah.
is to protect that mystery. So protect, and part of protecting that mystery is
I
to
know,
protect
but
that
I'm also
story.
I'm not
Yeah,
asking you to explain how you do it.
Yeah, but I'm very conscious of how that
Yeah.
shapes your
I see it.
version of
I
the
see what
story.
you mean.
So I would, yeah.
Maybe
would-
if I
you know
hear
what
the
mean?
original one, I wouldn't be as impressed. For example, by your take on it.
Yeah, I don't know what it would
Okay,
be.
okay,
So-
I
so
understand.
That's why I'm kind of like reluctant
Yeah.
to kind of
Yeah.
like fuck with it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, fair enough.
A couple of other things. What? How did you end up opening? Obviously, you're a magician already. You're a professional magician. But why did you open a magic bar in Shanghai? And why did you go to Shanghai?
I went to Shanghai. So this is all related to Japan. I was in Japan and I was doing the shows, as I was saying before, and my family wanted me to take over a family business at the time that was in Shanghai, and I went for it.
Yeah.
And
But you still had magic on your head.
of course,
Yeah,
of course,
yeah.
And then, but also the experience of performing in a magic bar for so long, that made me think of magic deserves a kind of a framing that people can experience, so that they have a positive experience leaving it, as opposed to seeing it at a corporate dinner, as opposed to sitting in a restaurant and a magician comes
Yeah.
up to you. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
no,
right.
I get it. I mean, fully. I mean,
But that's
I know there's
different
different
than
levels of it.
seeing a
Yeah,
headliner.
yeah,
know?
Yeah.
yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah,
I wanted to create that, and I was lucky to have the resources and
Yeah.
the connections to create that, and that's what we did. So the end result was really beautiful. That we had.
It was a
probably the best
gorgeous
team-
theater, too,
Gorgeous
like-
theater.
yeah.
The best team in China, including some of the Hong Kong guys
Yeah.
flew up regularly, and some of the best magicians in the world would just pass by. Like we had Penn and Teller visiting. I don't know if you know who they
Oh,
are.
come on, man.
No,
Like,
no, you'd be surprised.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
yeah.
And Cyril,
No, Penn and Teller is huge for
Yeah.
me. They were like the magic default for me growing
course,
up.
yeah.
Because I mean that's all you had on TV anyway here in Hong
Wow.
Kong, right? So Penn and Teller was the default, and that they also in a way spoiled it because their creativity kind of made me go like, see, that's what I'm looking for. I don't want the guy who's like, hey, I can swallow fire. I'm like, okay, come on, man.
yeah.
Like you get it. Like I want you.
Oh,
But
their creativity is just insane.
That's what I mean. So they warped my perception of magic, where I was like, that's basic for me. You get it? So hence,
Yeah.
hence the reason why I'm so like weird on when I see magicians. I'm like, I want to like this, but I can't, man, because this is like too basic.
Yeah, there's
Right.
nothing. Yeah, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing basic about the creativity of Penn and Teller. Obviously,
Yeah.
Like, they're legends.
No,
They're-
well,
they're
that's what I
here
mean.
to
Like they
stay
set the
for-
benchmark for me.
Yeah, they
You
set
get
the
it?
bar
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, they were like, that's
For-
the
for
bar I
many
want.
people,
yeah.
I think.
So
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah. So Penn and Teller is a good example.
I have two more questions. One I would save for the Patreon, but one we can end with this one because I'm very aware of the time. I'm not. But okay. Tell
Arabic
me
numbers.
about one time, whether it was you or someone else, the trick went completely wrong, or something like kind of horrific happened. Like I want a juicy story.
Yeah, I've got.
I
people-
imagine in your
Like you
experience,
invite a guest on stage. That's a magician as well. Oh,
like
shit,
something,
yeah.
someone got injured or something got horribly wrong.
You cut the
or-
person in half and
no,
really
there's
went
like
half.
there's injury stories, but they're not. They don't happen. Didn't happen to me. So
it
so
doesn't have
thank
to
God.
be you, but also you don't have to mention names. It's I just want a juicy story.
Let me a juicy story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let me tell this one, and then
Yeah.
and then other stuff will probably come.
Yeah.
I've got this girl who took hours of train in China to come to see me after watching me hypnotize in some of those videos.
Yeah.
I never found out what happened.
Yeah.
And after the show, she stayed because she didn't really get to experience it, and she wanted to see, well, can I experience it? And I go, yeah, of course. And I did the induction. She went into a trance, and she just started crying, and then she left. And that was like, I never found out what happened.
Oh wow!
Wow. She probably like saw something she just never wanted to deal with.
I don't know. Maybe she came for a sense of release or whatever that was, and I remember that, and that was kind of like a spot of.
You sure she didn't just go for a glass of water? And like you just left?
Yeah. She did, but I forgot about that order. So
Wow.
yeah.
The other thing which we'll save, which is gonna be a cliffhanger. I hate to do this, but we're basically out of time. You performed for some very high-profile people. The one story that I actually don't really know much, like the details of, you performed for Paris Hilton.
Yeah, Paris. Well, we were at the same parties, and I was doing some magic there. Yes.
That's crazy. How did you end up? Okay, how did you end up with Paris Hilton? Don't answer because that's gonna be on the Patreon.
That's right. You still have a chance to subscribe, everybody. This is your chance. Now think about it. Do you really want to know? Do you not want to know? You want to know.
Yeah.
Right? There's going to be magic in our Patreon episodes, so go check it out. Hey.
Also, are we gonna get Vivek hypnotized?
Let's just do it, man.
Yeah,
I will get hypnotized in the Patreon episode and see. I might cry.
Also, this is gonna be on video, by the way. So for people who are not on Patreon, we're gonna put out this episode on video.
Yeah.
One of us is getting hypnotized, and we're all in Vivek's bedroom, and things might go a little spicy.
All right.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very, very much.
Really enjoy. How do people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at Mr. Anson Chen, MRANSONCHEN.
Sweet. What's
That's
next
the
for
easiest
you?
way. What's next is the show at Backstage.
Sweet. Oh, yes, we're doing the show together.
Yeah, I was
That's
like
right.
waiting. I'm like, Mo's not promoting the show at all.
Yes.
I was like,
I want it to be more organic.
I want to see this live.
Yeah.
I want to see this live. I'm like, hint,
Live
hint, Mo.
show.
Yeah.
So Anson Chan has a show at the Hub on the 23rd. I'm the worst promoter on earth.
Wow.
23rd. Yes.
I think it's the Friday, 23rd. Yes.
It is on the insert date
The
here.
show's called Unreal. I'll be performing with two of my friends, Mickey Wong and Stuart Palm.
Stuart is a good friend of mine. He's amazing.
Yeah, really good performers.
So if you're listening to that, come see Anson live. You're leaving Hong Kong right afterwards too.
the day
right?
after. So
The day after. So come say goodbye. Come say hi.
Yeah.
Unreal tickets are on sale now.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so